Okay, so next thing I want to do, let's do the mouth. Kind of a similar technique. She's got a closed mouth. Okay, ideally you'd like the mouth open, but we don't have that option here unless I spent a lot of time looking for pictures. I don't have that kind of time, so I'm just going to try and do this quick. I usually divide something up and down the middle here. Remember that as you move a point in place, if you put it in place and it's not quite where you want it, you can middle click and still move it. Or you can hit backspace and undo it. Okay, and then just place it in again. And I'm just going to trace the outside of the lips. Okay, so something like this. Okay, something like that. That should be good. Enter. And I'm just going to go in here and grab these vertices, and maybe I'll just snap them to the grid. Go hold down X. They snapped. One thing I got to double check on my thing here is now they've hidden this on me, and it drives me freaking crazy. Retain component spaces settings are on. Okay, so that means that when I try to do my snapping and I'm snapping to the grid, they won't snap in a straight line. They're slightly off. I could zoom in and you would see they're slightly off. If I hold down X, though, beep, they should pop in exactly. Okay, so let's get rid of that. I'm just going to pull it off and there. Okay, so I've got that. Now let's just grab these vertices here. Let's flip this over to the right view. And I'm just going to pull this over here. Okay. And we'll get somewhere around here. I'll just kind of gauge where the front of this lip is. This one here is a little bit more forward than the bottom. Okay, cool. Then I might even just pull this back a little bit and say, okay, that's good. Good. And I'll just take these two back here, the corner. Move them back here, and I'll say that's good. Remember, I was noticing that these aren't lined up exactly, the eye and the mouth. It's just not perfect, and I could spend a lot of time fussing over that, but I'm not going to. I don't want to. And then, if I go down here, okay, pulling these around, okay, great. And again, I'm just kind of pretending that's going to fit. Maybe if I wanted to, I could do something like move the pivot point of this. If I hold down D, I can move my pivot point here to, say, the eye, and then I'll just scale it until they kind of fit, but even then they're not going to fit exactly. It's a bit better. It's still going to be off a little bit, so it's not going to line up. Let's see what that looks like with this. And okay, that should be good. Okay, so then the next part of my trick is to grab these edges here, leave that one out of the mix, and if I go ahead and I hit extrude, and I pull it out, whoop, and all I'm trying to do is kind of get this nasolabial furrow line around the mouth here, and then it kind of comes in, and it almost forms like a chin strap over here. And so, let's switch. I'm going to get my vertices, and I'll just go and hit X, and I'll snap that in place. Excellent. Grab that, and I'll put this over here, this one here, that one feels like it go up into this area here, and that one there, let's just snap it to the grid while we're looking at it. Boop. Okay, just that's going to be above the chin here, and oh, these ones here, I kind of like to have them squarish, not too distorted, and if I already kind of know that I need another edge loop in here, so it'll match up with the eye well, but anyway, we'll say that's good. And then back here, just pull this back a little bit, and that can go back a bit. And this area here, good. Okay, that's not too bad. Actually, it feels like these have gone out a bit too much. I'm going to pull those in. Okay, make everything look kind of neat and tidy. Okay, I'm calling that fine. And then, I could use more insert edge loop and pop a loop here. And then use my move tool. Maybe I'll move this in a little bit. Okay, deselect. Pull that forward a little bit. And I gotta go. Actually, let's take a look at this in perspective, and I'll make this so it's opaque. Okay, and I bet you anybody, if I could just deselect those ones and pull this forward, That'll be not too bad. There's kind of like an area of fat right here that kind of bulges out typically, and same thing right over here. Typically. Not all the time, but most of the time. Okay, and I'll say that's good enough for now. And I can keep inserting edge loops and getting a better shape, but I just want to get to the lips. So if I take this face and I delete it, then I can grab this edge, hold down shift, and go to this edge, so it grabs all those edges in between. And then I can hit extrude again. Okay, and this extrude kind of extrudes down to here, and then it starts to overlap and stuff like that. So maybe what I'll do is I'm just going to switch to my scale tool, and I'll pull this up a bit. Okay, make this so you can kind of see what the hell's going on. Okay, and maybe here if I went to the side view, we'll see that maybe you should go in a little bit like that. Yes. And then I'm just going to grab my vertices, and let's pull these in a bit. Pull these in a bit. And what about those ones here? Let's push this over to here, this over to here. Okay, and we'll say that's good. Good enough. And you can see again we're not matching up here on this side view at all, so I'll just have to sit there and cry to myself about it. And what is this thing doing? Way the hell back there! Okay, so again, pretend that looks good. And just remember that we're going to come back to this much later on and see what I think of it. At the very end, we'll tweak it all up. There, that should be something like that. Now the lips are looking really weird and flat, so I'm just going to go and use my insert edge loop tool. Pop a loop here, and I'll pull that forward slightly. Deselect this corner area, pull that forward a bit more, and that kind of fills out the lips a little bit. Okay, and if I want to, I could even go and grab the multi-cut tool, and what if I did something weird like this? Boop! And I'm just right-clicking as I use it. Okay, and there I've got that little area that ducks in right here. Right-clicking, that finishes off as I'm cutting, right? Okay. There we go, something like that. That should work enough for now. Okay, and what happens when I hit 3? Okay, so we're getting some... not bad for now. Okay, and I could also maybe extrude in slightly a bit more if I take this and this. Later on I'll make a full-on mouth sock out of this, but I'm just going to do something like this and extrude back in just a little bit more. Just so I got a good idea what the shape of the lips are. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to go further right now. What time are we at? 8 minutes. Okay, cool. And I'm just going to delete the history on that thing. And if I go ahead and I start thinking about how these two pieces are going to match up, okay, maybe I'll get rid of the history. Alt-Shift-D. I'm not even hitting my button here. I think about this one and this one. This one's just a bit too big. This one here is a bit too small. So if I go in and I grab my Insert Edge Loop tool and I pop a loop here, boop. And also, as I pop a loop, sometimes they go kind of straight and it doesn't, you see, it looks kind of funky right in there. I like it to kind of blend in with the rest of this. If you just go in and you go to the Insert Edge Flow and it says off, if I type in 1, I can hit Enter, and there, it just kind of blends in a bit better. Okay, that's Insert with Edge Flow on. Now I can grab these two pieces in order to join them up. What I've got to do is I've got to combine them. So make sure you select this one, select that one, and I go to Mesh, Combine. Delete your history right away. It's a good idea to do. Okay. And then I can think about how I want these two things to join up. And if I grab my Append Polygon tool and I click on this edge, I click on that edge, and I hit Enter. Yay! And maybe I'll even go to the right view. And I think I'm just going to insert an edge loop here. And I can kind of pull that forward a bit. Hit G and insert another edge loop. Move it forward a little bit. Okay, great. And G. And as you're doing this, if you want to, you can... I'm just thinking about how this is going to go over top of the nose here. Sometimes people like to see what this is looking like on the other side. And I'll just delete the history. And the transformations are frozen out. They're at scales are at 1, 1, and 1. Okay, great. If I go over to Edit, Duplicate Special, okay, I usually come in here and I'll reset the settings. And I'll hit Instance, and the scale value, in this case here, I'm modeling on the positive X side. So if I take the scale and I make it -1, and I hit Duplicate Special, boop, it pops to the other side. Because I snapped all these vertices here, in the center, they snap perfectly. Okay, and I was working with my grid. Look at this, she looks so sad. Looks very sad. Okay, and I think I'm going to stop this video here, and I'm going to do the nose in the next one.